Hey guys, I'm going to start working on this Windvane. This is out of the 4 grenades, this is the one that is got the accurate, like notched sidewall on it, and we want to use that one on the best grenade we have, which is the one I just finished. But it has a crack, significant crack in it. And it's been soldered together with lead solder, and it's sloppy. They didn't do a good job. It's loose, and actually it's broken free now. Actually, I can show that here. So I'll get rid of that center. I don't know if this is going to show very well, but you can see I can move it. So I'm going to try and grind off or pick off what I can, and I'm going to try a couple quick things to see what I can do to get rid of most of it. I'm hoping that if I can remove all of it and clean this thing up and use silver solder to solder it back, solder, whatever. How do you say that? Anyway, use silver solder to repair it, then it'll be much nicer. You know, like I'll try to do a better job. I'm not the greatest at soldering, but like I can do better than that. That's terrible. Anyway, if anything, I'm going to get it cleaned up. It does fit, but I do need to get it repaired somewhat, you know, because that is just really, really bad looking. So yeah, I'm going to start on that now. Alright, here's a little bit better view of that poor solder job. You can see there on the back, look how big that is. It's just enormous. And then it's also, the soldering is not held. It's delicate work. Wish I could just like get something in there and pry it up, but just not a lot of space and nothing to really push against. See, I have a vice. Apparently it's named Dave. I'm probably going to change the name. I found this for free on the side of a road down the street from me. And it's going to be restored a little bit. It's pretty rusty, but it pretty much works. Bending my screwdriver. That's probably not good. Yeah, that's pretty much toast. Okay. Alright, so what I think I'm going to try and do for the rest of what's left in there, it's not a lot, but there is plenty, and I want to get all of it if I can, because already I can fit this thing back together better than it was when it was soldered, but I guess the silver solder, whatever, doesn't stick to the lead, so I've got to get it all off. And I mean, potentially that crack could look like that. Well, we're not getting light on it. Anyway, it could just be a hairline crack versus a giant thing with separation in it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take my Dremel to it. I'm going to try to put on a grinding bit, a little tiny one, and just grind off those excess bits, and then I'll probably just use like maybe a small file or a tiny bit of sanding paper to remove any excess from the surface on the back side, or I should say on the inside of the ring, not on the outside. I don't want to touch the outside if I can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape down. Use the vice. That's that. Yeah. And we're going to use Dave again. Good old Dave. How much cleaner that fits together now. One side's not higher than the other. Just gotta reattach it. Actually, I still gotta clean up the back a fair amount there. There's still plenty of lid. I'm gonna do that with little files and stuff, which I have plenty. I've broke them off. You've seen them. I think while that's heating up, I'm going to put a little piece of tape on the back here to hold it in the right position. We don't want it moving around on us. So hopefully that's enough. And honestly, I'm worried about this fitting back in because the other ones are very tight fit, and this thing, it just seems like it's might be a little too big. Yeah, see, it wants to stretch that, expand that, so I might actually need to take a file or sandpaper or something and kind of shave that down a hair, make it fit. It's getting hot though. Alright, got it re-soldered in there. Still taped together. Let's see if it stays. Hey, it stays. I'm gonna have to sand that smooth. File it down or something. Now the part I'm worried about, will this fit back in? That I can see not happening. Starting to pull the solder, starting to pull the crack apart. Alright, I just tried to push this in there, stretched it, and then it broke my solder. So, I'm going to heat it up again and try to melt it in there. It didn't really get in the crack much, and I know there's a trick to it, but I don't know what that trick is. Maybe somebody will enlighten me when this video comes out. I hate soldering. I hate it. It's the worst. Dave. Alright, so the problem is I've tried to solder this back together and it does solder, but as soon as I try and press the fins in, they push it out and it breaks the solder. And it seems like when I have the fins in, if I try and push that together, there's just a bit of a gap. I can't seem to fill it. I don't quite have the right tools to like get some scrap, like some really super thin brass, and try and braze it back together. I'm not that confident in those skills, and I don't know that that would look right anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the fins out, and I'm gonna take a small file, and I'm gonna just file just a tiny little bit off each of these all the way around. I mean, I'm going to take like 1 or 2 strokes for each, and that'll be it. So yeah, that's what we're going to do, and then hopefully we will be able to seal that crack nice and tight, and I can solder it and it will hold, and yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Alright, now I'd like to use this one, but it seems a bit big and I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing, because this one's not as aggressive as these little ones, but I think I'm going to have to use the little ones. So that would give me a little bit more control. I'll just have to be lighter and less strokes on it. And I need to move in the direction of the fin. Alright, so I want to move in the direction of the fin, not across, not just like slightly off kilter, like directly in, because they're not thick, they could break off. So it is metal, but I mean still it's brass, so it's still soft. So I'm just going to move with the direction of the fin. Alright, starting with this guy. Let's see if it fits or if we need to do another round. Definitely a little bit smaller, but we're gonna have to do another round or two to get that completely closed up. Oh, that's so much closer. It's almost touching. It was awfully close. I think I'm gonna do one more. Can't hurt, right? That might work. It's really close. I am tempted to take off just a bit more because any little pressure is going to want to break the solder. So it does seem like the bottom is closer than the top. There we go. That looks very good. It's like once I get solder back in place, sealed up, I don't think we're going to be able to tell. I mean, you'll have to look for it. It'll catch the light a little bit, but it's going to be a lot harder to spot than a big gap that looks like, wide like that. So. And let's see if our thing fits and doesn't pop. Actually, I should probably let it cool a bit more, huh? Since it's still hot. Get this whole thing cool. Just roll it on this wet paper towel here. Yeah, there we go. See if we can pop it in there without breaking the solder. Look at that. It's in there. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. yeah, I'm going to clean up that solder, and I'm going to probably actually paint it because it's not brass. And I will, I don't want to pop that in and out too much. I'm going to try and file some of these little sharp bits that are sticking up down here real quick, and then, yeah, then I see what I'm going to do next on it. I might polish it and then do the aluminum black on it. I don't know. It's fairly dark already. I mean, jeez. I mean, it's not as dark as what I did before, but it might be passable. We'll see. Alright, so I've got this soldered up. It looks pretty good, except on the inside, we got that big shiny point where I soldered. I don't want it to stand out, even though you can't hardly see it when it's assembled because the fins kind of shadow it. And, but even still, I don't like leaving that as is. So I'm going to paint it. I'm probably going to do, well, I'm going to do, I have a brass, which is a Model Master brass. It's an enamel. And then I also have a Model Master exhaust. And it's kind of got a dark, I mean, this doesn't really truly show it, but it's kind of silverish, but kind of more flat black. And then I also just have a flat black. So I'll probably do those three, kind of build them up in layers, because it's going to be, you know, I'm trying to replicate that really modeled, you know, dark, but also brassy kind of look. So undercoat brass, and then I put the exhaust in flat black over the top. The exhaust has just a bit of metallic in it, so I think it'll look right. So I'm going to try and knock that out real quick. Still got perfect color. That's crazy. Guess I don't need to do the flat black. There we go. Can't see it at all now. Calling that good.